Now it has audio. That would have been helpful from the beginning. This is all, it's all practice. It's all a test. I can hear my child going crazy in the background. There we go. I can't spell the word unannounced. YouTube. Myself. Not yet, I don't think. There might be people watching me. I don't know. Yeah, there's one person already, and it says, bring that baby, Norm.
Are you on there?
Yeah.
Oh. I think I had to get it up and running before I actually posted to Classroom. So as of right now, I have a Bobito Crispy Toes watching me. I can't see your eyes.
It's coming. It's on a delay. So for those of you watching, just understand if you comment or do something that it's going to be delayed from when it happens to you to when I'm seeing the response. There's at least a 30-second delay. So if you say something or ask a question, I will attempt to answer that question in turn. Once this has been posted for another... Whoa! Once this has been posted for a hair longer and we have more than 2 current viewers, well, unless we go for like 3 minutes and there's only 2 current viewers, then we'll just start rolling and I'll start giving you the update. I've got some stuff pulled up to show you as far as spread here in the United States and across the globe. And we'll talk details. But if you have questions for my large child or my wife, feel free to ask those as well. Once again, remember that everything is on a delay. Oh, we're up to 6 concurrent viewers. Oh, don't touch your face, coronavirus. There is a live chat, ladies and gentlemen. The whole point of this is to figure out interactivity on Livestream. So if you just want to say, hi, I'm here. Oh, bruh. Hello, bruh. I can't read all of these names because I don't know what half of them mean. But this one is... I guess you guys can see it. I don't have to read who it's from. Shadow Corbin. I don't know who you are. Let's not do ASMR. Howdy, Will. Oh, I guess one of these is Will. Or are you calling? I don't even know what you're saying. Hey, Josh. Hello, Josh Adams. You are the only person whose name is your name. I respect that. Also, Josh Adams. Just so you know. Thank you for calling my live stream wild, Mr. Crispy Toes. My child is angry in the background. I apologize for that. All right, we have 12 people. Like I said, I'm on delay, so we're going to try this. But I have a set of various pieces of information about... Oh, great. Oh, my goodness, we got comments rolling in like crazy. You do practice at home, I see. over here. Yeah, no, not really. Although, I guess I could share some video of Elias really enjoying that hoop. I'm going to try and keep up with these comments and questions. I'm super bored from quarantine. Okay, so do you guys have any specific questions about the coronavirus before I just launch into a spiel about coronavirus? What's going to be the psych assignment after the test? Okay, JC, I will get to assignments for y'all having fun. Any coronavirus questions before I launch into my coronavirus-ish dissertation? You're going to hear this 30 seconds from when I say it, so I'm just going to awkwardly sit here for a second. So, discussing all of your boredom, I see. Okay. I think I'm just going to go ahead and get rolling on... Okay, when is it expected to hit its peak? Good question. I legit think I have it, but it's not that serious. It's possible. You are young. I don't even know what that means. Have anyone played Stardew Valley? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Okay, do you think we're going back to school? When is its peak? My dad stuck me under quarantine. The government stuck us under quarantine. Why is my name Chloe14? I hate it. You're also a dog. Alright, we broke quarantine to get brownie mix. Alright, so there's enough people here. I'm going to start walking through this. I won't be able to... Oh, wait, yeah, I will. I'll pull it up on my phone, and then I can see your questions and show you the things I need to show you at the same time. This is a test, like I said. It's a test live stream. So, we're working through this at the same time. All right, so let's look at... Gosh, I'm trying to keep up with all of this and set it all at the... I'm knocking things over. All right. Okay. If any of you have, pro tips as to how I'm doing this wrong, let me know. Because, like I said, this is the test one. Got an angry baby. Okay. Do you know the outlook for our town? Do you think it's going to spread quickly? Of course. Brennan and Josh talking across the room, even when they're not in the same room. Got the AirPods with wires. I have to be plugged into the mic so that I can hear the feedback. We're the dual monitors and AirPods, Chief. Okay. Getting a little angry. Yeah, he's gonna walk by and wave as he leaves to go get his bath time. Feed it. We have fed him. We fed him a lot. Gosh. Hey, who said I hate babies? That's your own problem. So.
I know, me too.
Savannah says she is lonely. I'm here. Am I not enough? Oh, gosh. Okay, so back to what I was initially attempting to do and follow my own live stream so that I can see your questions as I talk to you guys about this stuff. Go to my own channel. Your channel. Thank you. Coronavirus update. Oh no, turn the volume off. I don't want to hear myself on loop. There we go. Feed that thing. Big no. Okay, good. So I can now see your questions on this thing, and I will launch into my attempt at explaining the current coronavirus situation. So let's go ahead and flip this on. You can laugh at my various style of live streaming doohickeys. Let's start on a global level, and after starting at that global level, then we will zoom back in to Missouri. We're starting to get corona through the internet. No, you're not. That is not how that works. All right. So what I am showing you right now is the world cases of coronavirus. This is from the World Health Organization, or WHO. Don't ask me who, because it's their name. And we will talk about, so we have what are the key symptoms of the virus. I will attempt to answer that here in a second. It's all, okay, JC, impatient? We're already rolling. All right, so what you see here is the global cases. The biggest, obviously, one that you can see on here right now is China. China had 81,000 cases. It still has some more cases. Iran, with 27,000, is another significant one. But obviously, the one you're probably hearing in the news the most, aside from the United States, who we'll get to in a second, is Italy. Italy has 69,000 cases and actually has more total deaths than China does. And, I mean, if you look at total population... Ooh, we zoomed out way too far. If you look at total population of China versus total population of Italy, you can see that the percentage there of people dying is significantly higher in Italy than it is in China. Part of that reason is because once it got to to Italy, they didn't really do a whole lot to stop it. They didn't lock the country down. They didn't do immediate quarantine. Whereas in China, literally, soldiers patrolling the streets, don't come out of your house kind of lockdowns. The world just vibin'. Thank you. I don't really know what that means. I don't even know where to put this thing. So that's what you're looking at here, this massive spread map here. The one that probably matters the most to you, or should matter the most to you, is the United States. You can see we're third in total cases. That is not going to last. If you look at the growth chart over on the left-hand side, which I assume is still the left-hand side for you, I don't know how this works, you can see this growth in February. That's China. And then this massive takeoff starting at the beginning of March towards 50,000. That is the cases by date of report. That's not total cases. That's how many cases are being reported a day. So right down here, we have 40.9, 40.5, and 41.2 thousand cases being reported over a 3-day period. So in 3 days, you have essentially 120,000 cases going back to back to back, 3 days. I don't even understand what you guys are saying. Why did he eat your dad's what? Who's eating cookies? Which is worse, Italy during the plague or now? Plague by far. So important to understand. This is terrible. This is awful. This isn't the plague at this juncture. The biggest thing that you could equate to this is the 1918, which we just studied history, folks. It's the 1918 situation after World War I, as people returned home from the trenches, taking with them a novel strain or a new strain of the influenza virus. Very similar situation as far as the immediate spread around the globe. However, the peaks of that were higher, hopefully, than this will reach. Because, obviously, at that point in time, our medical capability was significantly lower. So that was the difference between this and that, is that at that point in time, we didn't have ventilators. Right? It's not like you could take somebody in, plug them up to oxygen, and do all this stuff and keep them alive. During the plague and during the outbreak of influenza in 1919, we didn't have all the tech that we have now to keep people alive. Josh, so what I'm hearing is we're about to die from a nuke. No, that doesn't make any sense and has nothing to do with the coronavirus. I have to go check on the brownies. Oh, gosh. Okay, for all the people commenting, we're going to be nuked. No, that has nothing to do with a virus, and a nuke would not help get rid of the virus or spread the virus. It has nothing to do with it. Stop it. You guys like nukes too much. Took 200 years for Europe's population to recover after the plague. Yes, this is not the plague. This is bad. It is not the plague. Even with the numbers that you're seeing here, we're looking at maxing around a 4 to 10%, depending on which country you look at in Europe, the death rate, compared to the plague, which was somewhere between 35 and 55%. death rate. That's significantly worse. So no, not the same thing as the plague. If we get corona, do we have to do our homework? Yes. Because if you get corona, it's going to be like the flu. And just like the flu, you'll have to make it up. All right, so nuking is heating stuff up in the microwave. Thank you. All right, so let's go back, and I'm going to try to answer some of these questions. Starting with... I'll get used to this live streaming thing, all right? I'm old. We have... Why the delay before we start? I don't know. Just trying to get the thing to work. Okay, key symptoms of the virus. Starts off sore throat. Then you'll start getting a high fever, like the fever will spike over 100. And now, this is possible symptoms, right? Some people get it and they get like a mild cold kind of situation. A little coughing, and they're over it. Some people are completely asymptomatic, like they have no symptoms, they just carry the virus. But if you do have it, probably sore throat, starting off, spreading down into the chest, it is possible for it to become double pneumonia. In other words, you're getting fluid build up in both lungs. It doesn't always happen, but that's the part of it that really can hurt older folks especially. So if you get a bad sore throat and that starts spreading down into your chest, you've got a dry cough lasting several days, and especially if that goes along with aches and a fever, probably, good chance that is the coronavirus. Either way, if it's coronavirus or the flu, stay where you are, self-quarantine, and don't go give it to people, all right? Just be safe with it. So that's symptoms. Okay, are we going to come back from school or to school? Yes, I think. So here's the thing. This goes along with another question that I saw at some point about the curve. And that is if the curve is on its way down in 2 weeks, we're probably coming back. If it's not, if it's still upwards, heading upwards towards a peak, it'll push it back a week or more. Just to be 100% honest here, guys, I mean, Kansas, way too early, already closed their schools for the year. Virginia did the same thing. So, thank you, Shadow Corbin, for telling us bubonic plague only had a death rate of 50 to 70%. Only 50 to 70%. So yeah, obviously that's not at all the same thing. All right. Asking for specific students. I don't know what happens if someone cusses. Just don't do it. Don't. Just so you know, the administrators also have access to this live stream. So, don't. All right, so anyway, so that's the world cases. This is big picture. Let's look at the United States really quick. Let's zoom in a little bit here. So if you look at the United States, this is from the Center for Disease Control. A bunch of good information, how to protect yourself from it, symptoms, all that stuff. Here's where you can look specifically for details on the symptoms. This is the United States. If you look at cases in the United States specifically, you can actually look at this map, and this is really handy, and then this chart. This chart is what is a little bit concerning. If you look at this chart, you can probably tell why it is a little bit concerning, and that is, it's still... My child is angry, and I don't know why. He's okay. So, anyway, the problem that we see here on the chart is that it's still logarithmically increasing, right? This is still an exponential growth situation. And if we look at various places around the world, I should have pulled that up too, as the different growth charts. There's a bunch of good articles on that that you can find where it traces the growth in each country. And in this case, our growth is not slowing. Like, not in the least. And in fact, it is actually going up. Like, the rate of increase is increasing. that's not exactly a good sign for us, especially if you go up here and look at the fact that it is on the coasts and spreading inward, right? There are actually things that show the spread state by state, and it starts here and here, actually, spreads down to California, goes wild in California, and then New York is by far our worst situation. It's not child abuse. He's angry and tired. His bedtime is 6 o'clock, and he's been not napping all day. He's got his child locked up. No, I'm locked up. I'm in it, like, this place. Anyway, so I'm going to get corona. Possibly. What? Mr. Norman, do we get to like Davidson did, do we get to foot? Do we get to flu? I don't even understand what that means. Anyway, don't know what that means. All right. His bedtime is 6 because he wants to go to bed. Stop complaining about my child. All right, so anyway, let's look at Missouri to answer some of your more pressing questions real quick before this live stream becomes way too ridiculously long here. And if you look on what I have pulled up now, this is cases by county in Missouri. Right now, there are 356 cases in Missouri. That is increasing rather rapidly. If you looked at a chart of Missouri, it would kind of be crazy how fast it is increasing. But here's Missouri. Last thing that we'll talk about on this. Did who just cuss? I don't even know who you're talking about. I don't know who cussed. I did not cuss. I don't cuss. I am so... Okay, people who are saying inappropriate things, stop saying inappropriate things, or I will ban you from all of this forever. Anyway, this is Missouri. If you look at Missouri here, you can see on the right-hand side around St. Louis, this is one of two major problem areas in Missouri right now, but you can kind of, if you laid out a roadmap of Missouri, it's spreading across the basically highway from Kansas City to St. Louis, and then it is spreading down the highway from St. Louis to Springfield, and we are on 55, right? It goes all the way up the side of Missouri here, and so that is the issue for us, because we are probably the next area that gets filled in here. And the odds are very likely that there are already cases in our counties. In fact, I would already say most likely that, okay, Miss Dunn wants to get banned. Miss Hartman wants to get banned. Chloe 14 wants to get banned. All right, so just so you know. Anyway, we will never be able to tell if we did too much. However, it will be far too apparent if we did too little or not enough. Okay, that's true, right? The point is that if we don't do our part and do the lockdown, right? If we don't do what we're supposed to do right now, the dark red areas here are going to expand quickly. And we talked a lot about the curve. I don't have it redrawn up here, but right now, sadly, we are on pace to blow the top off that dotted line that I had. And that dotted line, just once again, oh, there's my face. Once again, is essentially the amount of capacity that we have in hospitals, the amount of ventilators we have, the amount of people we have to work, the amount of available ICU beds, all of that, right? So all of that is it's a problem. That's the issue. And so I can't give you answers as far as when things will return to normal, when people will return to school, all of that, because we don't know yet. But what we do know is right now the plan is we are coming back on the 6th, which means you have 1 week of work to do, unless you are in my college class, in which case you have work this week and you have work next week. But that's the thing, is this is an ever-changing situation. It's going to keep changing and keep changing and keep changing. If people keep not listening and crossing state lines and traveling everywhere and going and hanging out in large groups, it could... Stop cussing. Hartman. So anyway, there are some states that are canceling school for perpetuity for the rest of the semester. I don't know. I don't think we're going to do that here in Missouri. I hope we don't do that here in Missouri. My Scholar Bowl kids know that I really hope we don't do that here in Missouri. But if you look at the curve right now, right, you look at what happened in New York and how many days it took from the first case to now, and it's still not even peaking. And you look at the fact that in Missouri, we're just now on the takeoff ramp of that curve, right? That curve that we keep talking about is just now hitting its stride, going upwards in Missouri. But I don't know. I can't predict the future. So it is... See people saying, hey, I crossed state lines. Looking a little pasty, Mr. Norman. Thank you. I'm always pasty. It's my light to make me lit. Because without it, it's so dark. Anyway, still getting used to the live streaming thing. Play basketball, Mr. Norman. I do. All right. Do you guys have any other questions, real questions, before we close this thing down? Because there's your update. If you have questions, I'll be happy. Hasn't seen the sunlight in days. Okay, JC asking, what does this mean for Scholar Bowl? I don't know yet. They've said that they're willing to postpone. The last thing I got was the information I shared with you before we ever went on break, and that is... They said that we're one that can be postponed and still done. So if it does get like it's still not for several weeks. If it does, like let's say that we go back 3rd week of April, they can still do it. They just do it a weekend late, right? So I'm not sure beyond that. I am discussing Scholar Bowl right now. You're just on a delay. All right. Let's see. What is behind me? It's a basketball goal right there. And then a game on top of the basketball goal, which I can't circle backwards over my shoulder. There's a ghost in that room. There probably is. So anyway, has Misha canceled districts? No, Misha has not canceled districts. That is not an announced thing yet. The last update I saw said they hope not to cancel. Is there anybody else? I'm sorry, Miss Hayes. I don't make the tests, as we have become very clear on for the college class. Any other questions you have for me for this week? I will be back at the start of next week, so Monday. Do you think the state will go on official lockdown? Good question. I don't know. Our governor didn't the schools shut themselves down. The governor never said all schools have to shut down when we initially all shut down. He allowed that to happen in and of itself, right? Then no, you can't get in a large Zoom. Maybe the college class or something later, but the freshmen were trying to swear earlier, so No, don't trust them. Anyway, Caitlin keeps saying, my dad was on the phone with the governor yesterday, little emoji things. Was there something interesting that he learned, or are you just announcing that? Have you set an official time for the live stream? For Monday? No, not yet. I will say that the things that I have seen so far, not all. There's some of you that want to do it early, but a vast majority of you who answered that said late to whatever I said, insane hours or whatever, way too late. And so we're not going to do the way too late thing. All right. Wonder what they'll do about beta nationals. That is still up in the air as well. There is a chance that gets either pushed back or something happens with that. But they, as of right now, they've extended the deadline for states to do their state conventions. In other words, they've said, hey, if you get it done by May, that's okay. So that gives me hope that they won't cancel it. He said he doesn't now what he was gonna about school. That was an interesting yell there, Miss Wells. They haven't canceled nationals. Yeah, I know. I understand that, yeah. Can the sophomores have a Zoom? Oh, gosh. So, I'm not going to say Zoom for anything right now. Right now, we're going to stick with this because I can mute you if necessary. And it's more controlled and it lives forever on the interwebs so that, if somebody does something stupid in the chat, then they can't deny it. Mr. Norman, after your live stream, if some people can't watch, make sure not to private it, because if you do, then some people may not getting the information they need. Just saying. Yeah, no, it's going to stay posted so you guys can see it, just like the video that I posted last time. What is going to happen to Mr. Babb? Good question. Whether we come back or not, he's teaching somewhere next year. So, he's doing good. Where is Babs? He does not live in my house. He and I share a classroom for this semester, but he does not live in my house. All right. So, any other final questions? I'll wait about a minute here, and then I'm gonna go off the air for now, and we will be back on Monday. I might do 2 separate entities of this. I might do one for Why Are You Scared, Hartman? So there's a chance I do one for history and one for government. Zoom doesn't start with an X. No, Mr. Babb does not become my baby when he's not at school. That's not how that works. No, he does not have to live with me, Miss Frakes. My baby does. Mr. Babb does not. I don't understand why you guys keep telling me to look behind me. I can literally see the same screen you're looking at right now. How precautious have you been about the virus? Okay, that's a good question to kind of close down on. I would say this. I have been cautious in following all of the regulations that are announced. I haven't locked myself in a bedroom and not left, for a week and a half. I would go insane, as if I'm, not a little. But what I have done is made sure that when my wife and I go out in public, let's say we have to go get something from Walmart, we haven't been using a cart, right? We just not touching stuff, not plopping our large child into the cart. Can we get a dab for the boys? Dab, 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 dab. And so, in other words, I'm just being careful, right? Make sure you are washing your hands. Make sure you're using hand sanitizer. Don't get all up in people's personal space, right? Be cautious. If you do want to do something outside, go to a park where you can stay a good distance away from somebody, right? Play some disc golf. Even though the Portageville one is short. Still. So that's so cool how your baby has the freedom to live someplace. You guys are goofballs. All right, so that's what I would say. Make sure that you guys are using caution. Make sure that you aren't spreading it, because remember, the important thing here isn't that I'm afraid you're going to get deathly ill here. The important thing is that we don't want to be a vehicle to spread it to other people, because you can be asymptomatic for as long as you have the disease, or it's possible that you go 13 days and you're hanging out with a whole bunch of different people, and then at the end of those 13 days, you get sick, right? So regardless of whether you feel symptoms or not, don't be hanging out in big groups. Don't be hanging out with a whole bunch of different people. Just make sure that you're following the CDC guidelines, which you can find posted. Just Google anywhere, CDC coronavirus, and you'll be able to find them. So just make sure that you follow those things. And no, I'm not going fishing with you, Brennan. And I will pass on to my actual family that y'all said hi. All right. For now, I am signing off. But if you have more questions, feel free to comment them. Please either do it here on the video, or if you can, in one of the AMI classes. That way I'm not looking across 8 different classes worth of people commenting. It's harder to keep up with. All right. Thank you guys for joining me for this. Hopefully you have a little bit more information. If you have more questions, for real, I will try to answer them in those comments. Thanks for joining me. And on Monday, I'll be back with more information, and we'll actually talk some content stuff. So now I have to figure out how to end this. Signing off. Hasta later.